Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well and that the start to your 2026 has been as impactful as you aspired it to be. For those having a rough start and are still having those bad habits tugging at you, I just want you to know that everything is going to be okay. Why are you being so hard on yourself anyway? Don't feel bad or hate yourself if some of your old habits followed you to this year. We are quickly approaching February, but you're not meant to transform on a deadline. Time doesn't create change, awareness does. And awareness doesn't arrive all neatly on the famous January 1st moral checkpoint. You're not a renovation project that needs to be completed on schedule. You're someone who's responding to stress, memories, hope, fears, regret, and desires all at once. If you really want to make a change in the areas that you're not the happiest with, then start by having an honest conversation with yourself. Write down your deepest emotions or what means the most to you. Identifying these areas that need improvement isn't about tearing yourself down. It's about learning to see yourself clearly without cruelty. I have 3 grounded and practical ways that can lead to your personal development. These ways have helped me, and I'm sharing them in hopes that it will help someone else watching. I hope you enjoy it. The first point is to notice when you feel reactive. Your growth will show up in moments of defensiveness, in anger that's disproportionate, and when you're shutting down or people pleasing. Let's break these down. When you get defensive, a part of you feels exposed, questioned, or at risk. But you don't have to shame the reaction away. When you're on defense, ask yourself, what am I protecting, or what feels at stake here? Doing this allows you to identify the real issue away from the surface trigger. When you feel triggered, it can create anger that's disproportionate to the moment because of what that moment represents. Triggers touch something within you that's delicate, a place where you once learned that being open wasn't okay, that being unheard had consequences, and that silence or force was required to survive. When you feel intense anger, the mind creates a story. They're disrespecting me. They think I'm weak. This always happens to me. No one listens. People only take me seriously when I'm angry. Growth happens when you pause the story, not the feeling. What's often at stake isn't the situation, it's your sense of dignity, competence, your safety, and your autonomy. But instead of having an argument with yourself about the moment, growth asks, what values feel violated? What boundary feels crossed? An even harder question might be, what boundary did I allow to be crossed? What am I afraid this all means about me? It's hard to be reflective in these moments because all that can be thought of is how there's been an injustice. But these strong reactions are signaling you to grow. When these moments happen, ask yourself, what part of myself is getting activated? When you ask why, you create a pause, which gives you awareness and options. You can now respond with intention instead of reacting out of habit. Understanding your reaction allows you to express it clearly. I understand that sometimes you can be so angry that it seems impossible to calm down, but you don't necessarily have to calm down first. You just have to get curious first. Curiosity will subsequently lead to calmness, by shifting you from unshakable, fear-based reactions to having a more open mind, which reduces uncertainty and creates space for exploration, learning, and acceptance. Suppressing your anger will only make it worse. It can lead to shutting down and people pleasing. This is all done for the reason of staying connected to others. So you start agreeing, you smooth things over, you prioritize the comfort of others over your own truth. When you shut down, you abandon yourself. Ask yourself, why am I sacrificing so much for others and not sacrificing enough for myself? Sharing this human experience with others can be so complex. We have different perspectives, ideas, and emotions, all coming from different backgrounds and belief systems. It's easy to default to people pleasing, especially when there's a group of people who don't agree with you on a matter in which you know you're right. In those instances, make sacrifices for yourself. You know what you're going against the grain about is morally correct. Don't abandon your morals to make others happy. Sacrifice those connections you might lose and speak the truth. You speaking the truth is more important for the sake of maintaining your integrity so that your internal experience matches your outer expressions. When a life is lived in mismatch, energy is drained, leading us to point number 2. Notice what keeps costing you energy. The areas that cost you the most energy are usually the areas where a skill hasn't been developed yet, an old strategy is being overused. Maybe you have a boundary that needs to be reinforced, or a truth that needs to be acknowledged. Energy loss is hard to ignore and impossible to fake, especially if you're someone who wears their emotions on their sleeves. What's exhausting isn't the difficulties of these situations, it's the predictability. The repetition is costing you energy because a part of you is aware now. You're no longer confused, yet you're participating against your better judgment. It's easy to get stuck here because familiarity feels safer than change, even when it drains us. There is uncertainty that comes with growth, and that growth costs energy upfront, so it's easy to avoid it. But the longer you repeat what you've outgrown, the more effort it takes to tolerate your own life. Your energy will return when your actions match what you already understand. When you stop explaining things that will not change. It'll return when you stop hoping that people will become different instead of responding differently yourself. Insight without action just becomes another energy leak. Some situations will never change unless you change. So these are the actions you can take. Realize where your energy drops rather than where you're failing. Pay attention to the moments that feel heavier than they should. This can be a conversation that's just lingering in your mind, a task that you keep delaying, or a situation that leaves you feeling tense. Once you realize where your energy drops, stop repeating the situation in your mind and start observing your role in it. Then choose a small and honest adjustment that could better future and similar situations. These small adjustments can be ending a conversation sooner or saying no, especially when you know that's what's right for you. When you start breaking these familiar patterns, you might start second guessing or feeling like you're doing something wrong. This is because your old internal system is reacting to change, but keep going. Over time, your energy will return Not because life got easier, but because you stopped paying the same costs repeatedly. You no longer spend energy suppressing, rehearsing, or tolerating what you already understand. Ultimately, your actions will start to match your awareness. When that happens, motivation becomes less necessary. You feel steadier, clearer, and less divided within yourself. In looking within yourself, point number 3 is to pay attention to envy and admiration. This one is uncomfortable, but very powerful. Ask yourself, who triggers envy or admiration in you? Is it confident speakers? Emotionally regulated people? Are you in your content creating era, and is the discipline of another content creator making you feel less than because you're not on their level yet? Or is it calm communicators? Envy often points to something you value, desire, or recognize as meaningful. It can even be a capacity that you want to develop. These are not reasons to feel inferior. Inferiority that manifests from envy is very dangerous because of what is done with it. When envy grows and hardens into inferiority, it quietly reshapes how you see yourself, others, and what you believe is possible. When you get that strong feeling of envy and admiration, do something that builds that quality in your own life. Not everything, just one thing. Take action to ground your emotions. This is your life. Accept yourself. Start deciding that your worth is not up for comparison. Your inner voice is either a guide or a weapon, so choose wisely. Instead of saying, I'll never change, this is too hard, try saying, I'm learning that this is hard. I'm taking steps at my own manageable pace. Growing up is hard because it asks you to take responsibility without certainty, to grieve versions of yourself that once felt safer, to stop blaming time, people, or circumstances, and start listening to what your life is quietly asking of you. Growing up becomes lighter when you recognize how much strength you already carry. Every experience has been shaping your judgment, your boundaries, and your sense of direction. Even the uncertain moments have been training you to trust yourself more deeply. Each step forward counts, even the quiet ones. Every choice made honestly builds stability. Each and every moment of reflection turns into wisdom over time.